Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Monica Kane in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through January 12th, 2025. Hello, Monica.
Hi, Michael.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you and Tina for allowing me to be a part of this gallery and have this show.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're very welcome. So tell us about your current show.
So my current show includes work that I have been doing for like themes that I've been working on for maybe the past 15, 20 years. Um, which are boats, vessels, houses, home dwellings, and also the natural world. Um, Many, if not, I'm just trying to think, all of my work is basically assembled. So it's the 3D, the 2D pieces are a process of maybe painting and printmaking and layering of media, layering of processes, and the three-dimensional work is additive sculpture. So it's pieces that are put together, formed and put together. So, and this is a very recent series I did like right before the show. So I used watercolors and this is a collage, not part of the series with the houses, but this is a collage. So what I was talking about is using other materials. So using ink drawings on translucent paper, um, and putting that on a painted background, and then drawing on top of that. And it ends up looking, I think this piece for me looks like it's hard to tell what was done first. But I love the translucency of the ink paintings, you know, showing through what's underneath. So, but going back to the house, the series with the houses. So those are a lot of those are ink paintings, and stamped houses, some with just black ink, sepia ink, and home. I started working with that theme in like 2003. It actually came out of doing a painting of my father's house in the country, and he was quite ill at that time. And so that theme came very much into my work. I was doing a lot of sculptural pieces like that. Um, and this piece, so this is the houses and also the horizontal printmaking. Um, just came together, and my titles for all these have to do, I titled them all place because it is like safe place, referring to all that. And the other, I was going to say, in that other painting, the elements that are horizontal, those the title came good, place with walkway, and sometimes the images come and then the title will come from what it looks like.
So, Monica, what does
Okay.
place mean to you?
So this might sound a little bit weird. I know I wasn't going to say this, but place is actually the it's a safe space for right now for the dog we have. So when we say that to her, we're referring to somewhere that is safe, somewhere that she knows if she goes there, she's listening to who cares about her, who takes care of her. And even though the house images came, these all came way before we had our dog. I realized that she, as well as we, have places to go to that are safe. And I think that that's what this series in particular, and it ties very much into, if I go back to my original theme, which was, with my father's house, which was a safe place for me. Um, and one of the things that is really intriguing for me is dioramas and assembling things three-dimensionally. This piece is called Skyship. So the boat theme I've been working with since about 2012, and it's interesting. It was a suggestion from a wonderful teacher an artist because of the materials I was using, which were not these at all. And I got very much into exploring boats, the idea of boat being a vessel, the idea of boat being a place that could take you to another place, a journey, searching. And then what I do a lot is I explore the same theme using different materials. And this piece in particular is made from a mixture of cement and acrylic paint and found branches. And so just part of the journey that I'm taking in putting pieces together. And then these are my welded pieces. Welding is a process that I just love. It's a lot of fun. Um, it's not not that it's not like playing a game, but it's a lot of fun to do, and it's very interesting to me. And a lot of my work, so once again, these are assemblages of other forms, and a lot of it might be found. So like the rebar in there and other pieces might be already manufactured pieces. I do a lot of the time use um, um, sheet metal. So I'm using something that's basically like a two-dimensional surface and then forming it into something that's three-dimensional. And then I play around with um, essentially the surface texture, which that came out of out of mistakes from welding, and it ended up being something that I used in my work. So I've got, these vessel ships. Um, that I just am very enamored by that whole thing. And one of the things that came out of exploring boats and ships was I delved into my father's time in the Navy during World War II. And he was a Navy Seabee out in the South Pacific. He was actually a ship fitter. And he was trained as a welder, which I didn't find out until very recently. I was able to, through the same teacher artist, able to get his paperwork. And so it's like my work came out of certain things, maybe, my relationships, family, and then it brought me back into it. So uh, I was just very, I don't know what to say, like heartwarming, affirming, something like that. So, and these are the other two pieces. Those are the title, those travelers. I,
Yes,
yes, my
Traveler
traveler,
2 and 4.
traveler 2 and 4. Yeah. So these are, working with, so it's the same thing. I've got this boat, the long boat, um, that kind of an image, and then working uh, with ink, with India ink, and working with watercolor, like a wash of watercolor, and then floating the ink in on that as a separate element, but seeing what the ink can do and exploring it in that way. So I think it ends up being a lot more abstracted, but can end up some of the imagery can end up being very referential. And I love to hear what other people see in this.
So, Monica, how do you decide when to switch your medium because you're sculpting and painting and like are you working in one for a while, then switch to another or at the same time or
Um, what's ended up being is that I'm working in one for a while, and then I end up going into a span of working in another. So when I was doing all of these metal pieces, were done probably over a period of years with gaps in there to do the paintings. The other thing is sometimes I might like my two-dimensional work is very influenced by the three-dimensional work. So if not like directly, imagery is taken from them. So yeah, so I work, that's a great question. I tend to focus on like one area at a time and but not to say that that can't change. Um, and this piece is also this whole piece is made from sheet metal, and there's a technique called brazing, which is when you adhere brass and copper to the steel. It's a welding method, so it's hammered and hammered and shaped, and I titled this island because I was thinking of this the vessel as being, this island in the, if you want to like getting literal island in this other forms, which can, they're wave-like, but that is what, and the titles often come after the piece is done, if not always. So in another little boat imagery. Um,
all your work is fairly compact in this show. Is that by design?
yes. I was actually not able to work very large this year, due to illness. And I actually I had to keep things small. So, but I think it's interesting too, because I've always had like mixed, like very large ink paintings or then, smaller pieces. But I think it's kind of interesting for me to see like what it's like to work, right? Smaller, to have all the pieces no larger. I think that's the largest frame piece and
Oh,
the,
it's very intimate feeling
yeah, yeah, yes, it's like a new,
because you have to get right up to them and you have to go to them. They don't grab you. But then when you get there,
Mhm.
then they have you.
Well, that's really that's good. That's good. And then my pieces with the natural world. I just love how Tina and you put things together because it's like, oh yeah, this is great. So that's another element. And I started like almost 20 years ago. I started doing a lot of observation drawing of specimens that I either collected, found, things like that. I'm not a true insect collector. I don't collect them and then chloroform them. So, but so I was doing, I had been doing that. I actually occasionally still do that, but this came out of a series that I did from like 2008 to maybe 2016 of insects. And also then that was and a frog specimen and from before. But these pieces are a combination of their digital copies of a drawing of bees. And specifically, these are meant to be bumblebees, which are endangered. Actually, I don't know if all of them are endangered, but I know I've been looking and seeing like what was endangered amongst the bee population. And the structure, so once again, a material that I love to work with, which is hardware cloth and metal. And this is all sewn together. So it's sewn together with metal wire and the form. So the form relates to the house. It also relates to just my love of medieval altarpieces, which many of them have, this pointed um, pointed, I don't know, the top of them is pointed, and then they're not all like that. But there's something, not that these are trying to replicate them in any way, but certain things that I am interested in, I guess, just come into play as I'm making stuff. So, yeah, and the backgrounds are printed, painted, as you can see. So the bees they were mounted with endo pins. And I titled these after they were made. And the title of this series is called Saved. And um, it's kind of a um, two-sided, three-sided, I don't know what to call it, but saving the bees, also saving the way we save things, which these are saved just as image, and they're saved as not alive. And how can we save our environment? It can bring up all kinds of thoughts like that. So, and also, I guess, they just looking at the imagery, giving them a home. Somebody said to me, it's like they're in a cage. So yeah, that all relates.
So,
Um,
Monica, how did you come to art?
um, I was very interested in ceramics back when I was about 17. And so I started, like when I first went to college, I started getting into clay, but I actually think I got into it before that because when I was in elementary school, I used to make projects that were dioramas. So I think, yeah. So I got into ceramics, and then I went to Pratt and I worked on sculpture there. And these are really small, intimate pieces. These are like with the house shapes at the bottom. So, I'm kind of bringing all that into a lot of what's here. There, obviously, the houses are like floating across kind of something explosive or intergalactic or whatever you want to see in that. And this is from directly from so this is a portion of a boat, would be the front part. And I've also used branches going through my boats and other pieces. So that image came out of the sculpture. Um, so yeah, and getting back to, so that's where my interest in art started with clay. And then after that, I went to art school and it just took it from there. And it just got more and more and more as I went on. It seems like as I keep going on, I become more interested in exploring. And these are boat, once again, more boat imagery. This is monoprint over monoprint. And this piece I titled Landing Craft because I started looking at a lot of, boats and boats in the military. And it's not quite like what a landing craft looks like, but it is, where they would transport the soldiers from the ship onto shore. But once that also came from a sculpture. Um, and this is
Skywriter
yeah, sky. Yeah.
3.
So say that again.
Skywriter 3.
Skywriter. Yeah. So sometimes, it's like the boats seem to float, and sometimes it's like it could be either water, air, it could be anything. Like it's also like with Skyship, it's like this kind of little bit of surreal, like they could be floating in the air. So,
There's an elemental quality to them. So you've got sky and water and air and
like the natural world again, maybe bringing that, but yeah, yeah, I had never thought of that. And oh, and there's something I wanted to mention just because there's a person who has been super duper majorly important in my life. She's been my mentor for, I don't want to say how many years, because it's more than 40. Um, but as far as the assemblage things goes, she is the one, her name is Lisa From Arts, and she's an artist in New York. And she is also my cousin, and she's the one who introduced me to creating works, like even like larger works, assemblages, and using different elements, like creating the elements and then seeing how they come together. So that was another part of like the beginning of all of these processes, and that started like in the 80s. Um, so yeah, so that's
well, it's a wonderful show, Monica.
thank you, Michael, and thanks for your comments and questions. It's very interesting.
You're welcome. The show is up through January 12th, so we hope people come down to see it. And everything's also available on our website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again and have a great night.